Waka waka motherfuckers. Welcome back to another episode of the wouldn't say famous. The low key podcast that I host, talk about on the regular on Twitter and everything else. Shut up and refill my popcorn. If you don't know who I am, my name is Nicho, aka Joseph, Joey, Jose, whatever you want to say. Nicho287 on Twitter. At Shut Up Popcorn on Twitter is the official show account. Okay. And if you're wondering why this episode sounds a little fucking weird, it's because I am live on Twitch as I speak. Looking into the camera, looking down at the floor at my feet. Trying to broaden my horizons. Usually I sit in my truck, talk about the episode, hit record or stop the recording, and start making the sausage. This time's going to be a little different. I've been teasing Spider-Man 3 for months. For months I've been teasing that I'm going to do this episode. I never fucking do it. I do something else that I've teased prior or anything. If you haven't seen it, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going off memory. If you don't want to hear me talk about something, or like if I forget to bring up something not obvious from this movie, you know why. It's not fresh in my head. I've seen it numerous times. I'm going from memory. And if you think I'm hosting a game show because of my microphone, you are correct, sir. I put a little fuzzy on my mic. See? Damn, it's lubed up. See? So, previous episodes, I've noticed a lot of blowback from me. Hopefully this helps. And if it doesn't, shoot me a tweet at Shut Up Popcorn and say, hey, motherfucker, I heard your breath more than I wanted to. Shut the fuck up and get to the point. Shut up and refill some motherfucking popcorn. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, this episode is being streamed. That's the word. And you're going to notice I have a light. And I'm going to Jedi mind trick that shit. Because if you're at home listening to this or whatever, if you're listening to this the audio version, you're not seeing my beautiful mug. Look at this. Look at this scruffy nail. Got a little hat on. Got my earphones on. Got a microphone fuzzy. And I got a light in the corner of my studio. So let's get to it, man. What I wanted, again, this is being a visual for anybody who's watching this and watching the stream, or if you're just not even, if you watch it later on, because I'm going to save it, I'm going to record it, I'm going to put it somewhere else. I'm going to put it on Patreon, and if you're joint Patreon for $1, you get all this crazy content or whatever that I put out there. Just me, being silly. All the mini-sodes that I talk about. But that's at the end of this episode. I plug all that shit at the end of this Patreon. It's just $1.
Give me $1.
Yeah, give me $1. You know what I'm saying? What was that?
Give me $1.
Oh, see? If you're watching at home, dropping everything. Got this little contraption here. It's a Zoom Pod Track. Probably the coolest piece of equipment I've purchased. And that's why I plug Patreon so much. I'm trying to get paid from this. That's why I show Patreon, I show Teespring, all that shit. Because I'm trying to reimburse myself from what I paid to do this thing. This hobby, if you might say.
You're a dumbass.
It is what it is, bro. So, nonetheless, boom, see? That's a t-shirt at Teespring store. Put mask, get the promo code, and then you get 25% off your order. Thinking about you guys, whoever you are in internet land. Hopefully you're not, I don't know, I'm a cute motherfucker, but I don't roll that way, you know what I'm saying? Ladies, if you want to, I don't mind, you know what I'm saying? Nonetheless, we're gonna talk about Spider-Man 3. God damn it! Probably the first franchise to revamp itself a number of fucking times. Sam Raimi, if you don't know who that gentleman is, you do not enjoy cinema. Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, The Army of Darkness. Oh my God, what was the one? Oh, with the crazy grandma. This was right after this one. See, I'm aiming from the hip. I'm shooting from the hip. Damn, I fucked that up too. Sam Raimi directed the first Spider-Man trilogy, and this was 2000. It began in 2002. Before that, X-Men was the first really comic. Started the boom of the new millennium, but we all know previous to that was Blade. You had all the Batman movies. Previous to that was, of course, Superman. And oh my God, if you want to ask, what was the very first superhero movie? I'm gonna have to say it had to be the Incredible Hulk movies back in the day. You know, like the trial of the Incredible Hulk, and then the death of the Incredible Hulk. Which, oh my God, to this day, I was like, as a kid, I watched it on Sci-Fi, and I was like, oh no, how did he die? He just fell out of a helicopter. And then now he's like, the motherfucker just fall, pass out, wake up like 2 minutes later. Oh, me Hulk, me run and go get some pancakes. So, like I said, Sam Raimi directed the first Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane Watson, and in this movie, we finally get introduced to Gwen Stacy, who is probably the first love interest of Peter Parker before Mary Jane Watson comes into the picture. She is played by the daughter of Ron Howard. Her name is Sam. Sam. Not Sam. Her name was Bryce Bryce Howard. I think I'm mixing those motherfuckers up. I know because she's got one of those three named names, but her dad is I was gonna say Dopey, Opie from Andy Griffith Show, and of course from Happy Days. And as I'm looking at my computer, I am seeing Bryce Dallas Howard. Now, if you're a fan of comic book movies, as I am myself, you've probably seen the first two Spider-Man movies. Of course, you've seen them all basically. This one picks up after part two, maybe like a year or so after the second movie. At the end of the second movie, we see Peter Parker finally getting Mary Jane, basically proposing to her. She leaves her husband or her fiance at the altar, runs to Peter Parker, and they lay in like a freaking web bed or some shit. Anyways, so this picks up right after that. At this time, James Franco's character, what's his name? Osborn, Harry Osborn, not Ozzy or Billy or whatever the fuck the other kid's name is. He knows Peter Parker, Spider-Man. He knows Spider-Man killed his dad, supposedly, but we all know at the end of the first movie, his dumb ass killed himself. That stupid glider just stabbed him through the heart. So he is fueled with rage. He's fueled with vengeance. He's got like a vendetta. It's like, he's my friend, but you know what? He's at the end of the second movie, starts seeing his dad kind of have those hallucinations, kind of like the same way his dad was hallucinating with the Green Goblin mask or whatever. So what does he do? He attacks Peter Parker. He attacks Spider-Man. And now he's decked out, and I think I think he takes that gas that made his father into the Green Goblin. That performance, like almost kind of like superhero serum or something. So he's now the new Green Goblin, and I don't think they call him, because in the comics they call him Green Goblin 2 or Green Goblin or whatever. He thinks he's back, but he's actually his son. In the movie, he takes on the moniker of New Goblin. Instead of a glider, he's got like this sweet snowboarding kind of hoverboard, kind of like what a hoverboard should be, like from Back to the Future 3 or 2. Not this stupid 2 wheels. Oh, I'm balancing. I tripped. I fell. Merry Christmas. And then he's got, of course, his little freaking Halloween bombs and all that shit. I don't remember exactly how it happens, but he fucks himself up where he's knocked out and he becomes like he has amnesia. He doesn't remember knowing Peter Parker's Spider-Man. He doesn't remember he knows his dad is dead, but he doesn't know that Peter Parker's responsible. And he's back to his old self. He's like, "Hey, Pete, what's up, man? Oh man, you're my best friend." Because after all the first movie and the second movie, there was this rift between the two because inside he knew Peter was Harry. He was that Peter was all folks was responsible for his father's death or had something to do with it. Then we're introduced. Of course, we're introduced to Gwen Stacy, whose father is the chief of police. Now, in the later trilogy, or the one after this one, she plays a bigger role in that Spider-Man. Mary Jane, I don't even think she shows up. I think she was maybe supposed to show up, or she might have showed up, but she has nothing to do. It's Gwen Stacy in the first one and the second one. No, you know what? I said trilogy, but there was only 2 Spider-Mans with Andrew Garfield. My bad. So then we're introduced to Freddy Krueger. Introduced to Eddie Brock. I'm all over the place, y'all. Bear with me. Please, give me $1.
Give me $1.
Por favor. So, back to the story. Anyways, we meet Eddie Brock. Now, my history with Spider-Man, and I think Sam Raimi kind of took more with the animated series than more with the comic book, or a mixture of the two. I'm not really sure how he did, but to me it seemed like he took more from the cartoon. As did I. As a kid, I grew up watching Fox Kids, and Spider-Man, the animated series, or wasn't it just Spider-Man, was on TV. And I never thought Kingpin was a Daredevil bad guy. Apparently he wasn't even in the Spider-Man. I mean, they shared bad guys or whatever, but he was mainly a Daredevil villain than a Spider-Man villain. For some reason, they put him in the cartoon, and my dumb ass is like, "Oh, he's the bad guy from Spider-Man." So Eddie Brock obviously is this competitor, rival to Peter Parker. Peter Parker's been taking pictures of Spider-Man and selling them to the Daily Bugle for years. He's got report. He's got history. I don't know. So now Eddie Brock comes in. He, I think at the time he's dating Gwen Stacy, but he's trying to be the new head honcho. He's trying to push his weight around. Now in the comic books, and I think in the cartoon for sure, but I think in the comic books he's kind of a buff kind of dude, kind of broad shoulders, kind of the obvious bully of maybe someone like Peter Parker size. In the movie, he's played by fucking Topher Grace. Now, if you know who Topher Grace is, you'll recognize him from that 70s show. He's done a lot of other movies since then and since this. But he's not really built as like we would later see a Tom Hardy, who's brought that Venom character, Eddie Brock character, back to its kind of like, manly, kind of like rough and tough kind of look and feel. Well, in the movie, he kind of grows a little bit bigger, like the symbiote. But I mean, this is think about what it was like 2007, and it's the first installment, maybe, I don't know, first take at these characters on screen. When we see Venom at the end of this movie, it's almost sad. It's like it's just it takes a little bit, and like the suit, like I don't even know where to start with this, the whole Venom deal, because let's just get into it. The black suit Spider-Man looks pretty cool, but it's not comic book and cartoon relevant. Like in the comics and in the cartoon, it's solid black with the white spider with actual white Spider-Man emblem on the chest. I mean, and then Venom, when Venom takes, because it's a symbiote, this gooey shit that covers Peter Parker in comics, movie, and cartoon is an alien being from outer space. Now, the cartoon and the movie don't go into it, but in the comics, there's a story behind this. In the comics, Peter Parker is basically drafted or picked to fight a secret intergalactic war with a bunch of other Marvel heroes, and then it's called the Secret Wars. Now his suit gets damaged, or he gets hurt or something like that, but he somehow comes into contact with a symbiote. Now this being, it clings to a host, and it amplifies it amplifies the host while basically surviving on the host itself, like just trying to live. And so when it bonds to Spider-Man, it like, he's already super as it is, so it makes him a little bit better, and it also fucks with his head. Now in the cartoon, they don't mention the Secret Wars, but they do have the story of how the symbiote makes its way to Earth. Now the symbiote hitches a ride on the spaceship of John Jameson's son, spaceship, which is the character that Mary Jane was supposed to marry in the movies. And I think it's the same thing. It hitches a ride somehow. It doesn't. I don't know if it goes into detail, but it hitches a ride and it makes its way to Earth. I can't remember if it was a meteorite. So anyway, it makes its way to Earth, not in the same way as in the comics. Now, nerd alert. See, when it cooks itself into Peter, like I said, it amplifies its powers, but it changed his suit to look just like, he spray painted his fucking regular red and blue suit, with the kind of, his suit kind of has like this outline, like a 3D, like if you touch it, you can like it feels like 3D, not like it's drawn or sewn into it like in the newer Spider-Man. Excuse me. It's more like 3D printed, kind of like, you can tell the difference. And when the symbiote bonds to Spider-Man, he's like, it just looks like he spray painted it black, and then they gave the legs on the Spider-Man emblem like longer, hooky kind of feel. That's what it looks like to me. Does not go with the classic look, solid black and white spider emblem, which I think they missed the boat on that. And then when Peter finally gets rid of it and it finds its way to Eddie, it just has the same memory of it, but it doesn't make him bigger. It doesn't make him look like this monster from the movie, from the cartoon and the comic book. It just makes him look like just the black Spider-Man with a mouth. And you see it when you only see him like a handful of times, which a lot of people were pissed off because it's Venom, man. Venom's this cult following badass anti-hero that just has evolved in the comics throughout the years and his history. And it's like they finally did it right recently in the last couple of years when the new Venom movie came out with Tom Hardy. But this was the first time he was on screen, so we wanted to see that raw fucking Venom, that fucking monster, and we got, hey guys,
Ah, I'm gonna kidnap your girlfriend. Ah.
this weird looking fucking critter looking motherfucker, and it's people were just really what the fuck. Too many heroes in this movie, if you ask me, because a lot of well, who was the other villain? Well, yeah, there was three of them. Cause yeah, we got New Goblin, Venom, and Sandman. Now, Sandman, you would think would be the primary villain for this movie because he was all over the promos and trailers and all that. And then, of course, you see the Black Spider-Man, and you're automatically Venom. You're already thinking Venom's gonna be in it. Then they kind of like shove Green Goblin's son in the beginning. So there's three villains, too many. And now, if there's anything we can learn from superhero comic book movies, when you add more than one villain, it dilutes a lot of the feel because you're trying to concentrate on this one and that one and this one, and then you're like playing the show game. And simple Batman 89, one bad guy, Joker, boom. Try then they let's put two villains, Penguin and Catwoman. Okay, we'll give you a little bit, yeah. Okay, let's do the same thing. And then for Batman and Robin, they put Bane. It was just a shit show. So, Sandman, we've come to find out, is the quote-unquote person who shot Uncle Ben. Now, the whole story of Spider-Man, or at least, I don't know about the new Spider-Man, but the whole story of Spider-Man is with Uncle Ben, he loses his uncle, and he feels responsible for it because he kind of just if he hadn't needed him to give him a ride or pick him up, he wouldn't have been in that situation that got him killed. And he lied to his family. He said, "Oh, I'm gonna be at the library. I'm gonna be studying," and he was out fucking playing with Macho Man Randy Savage. He feels guilty. He feels responsible. So to find out that the man who was actually responsible, see, he already fucked up the dude he thought was responsible in part one. He wasn't the one that shot him. Sandman shot him. Now the Sandman escapes prison, and he makes his way into for some reason, the fucking scientists in this world have to be doing all kinds of weird, crazy shit. Like Dr. Octopus was like fucking making like a miniature sun, and now these motherfuckers are trying to like pull out molecules from sand or some shit. He gets caught in this contraption that turns him into Sandman. So his body and his molecules and stuff, he can turn into sand. He can turn his hand into hammers and shape shift and stuff and kind of get through crevices and like a ghost. And so Peter finds this stuff out and he's pissed. So he goes after him as regular Spider-Man. This is before he gets the symbiote. Punches right through him, fucking does like doesn't know how to react, and then he beats him, he knocks him out, whatever, boom. Well, once he has the symbiote, he kind of gets his revenge a little bit better off, but still, Sandman escapes. Then, like I said, you had more bad guys, whatever. So now he's gotten rid of the symbiote. It made its way into Eddie Brock, and while he has the symbiote, let's get this out of the way because I know y'all are waiting for this nugget, this meme-making moment. Dancing Peter Parker, this emo-looking motherfucker, starts dancing, has his confidence and his like, yeah, I'm the man, I'm Peter Parker, I'm the Spider-Man, dancing in the streets. Or he wasn't dancing in the street. Yeah, he was dancing. He was dancing in the because he's trying to get Mary Jane back. So he's also into this Gwen Stacy chick, or she's into him. And that's another reason why Eddie Brock doesn't like him. Eddie Brock while he's in symbiote mode, Black Spider-Man, Rico emo mode, whatever, he steals his chick and he gets Eddie Brock fired. So now Eddie Brock's like, fuck Peter Parker. I don't like this motherfucker. He took my girl. He took my job. Ugh. So when Peter Parker realizes what's going on, he got to get rid of this. This is turning him. It's turn him into a piece of shit. Or no. He goes to the top of the church tower, and he realizes how the bell starts ringing, and that's how the symbiote can detach itself, is loud noises and vibration. So he's able to get free of the symbiote, and it makes its way down. And who's at the church praying for vengeance? Eddie Brock. He's sitting there praying to God that he hopes Peter Parker gets his Lord, which is pretty fucked up. You're praying, you're praying to God to fuck somebody up. That's like, you're at the wrong church, brother. The symbiote makes his way to him. He turns into scrawny Venom. Let's just call him Gremlin, Venom, whatever, Gremlin. It's so fucking sad. So Dancing Spider-Man, I can't even get into it, but I know he's just trying to get Mary Jane jealous or trying to get her back, and that's a whole other can of worms. So, and during this whole time, Mary Jane is talking to, I was gonna say James Franco, but she's talking to Harry. Harry's getting his memory back and realizes, oh yeah, we used to date. What's up? Hey, Mary Jane, what's up, man? Used to knock boots before, you went with Peter over there. He's getting his memory back, and he realizes he can really hurt Peter by, and he knows that they're having a rift or whatever, so he knows he can get to him emotionally by getting with Mary Jane. Dick move, but I mean, come on, James Franco looks like a fucking dick that would do that shit. So, but like I said, he's getting his memory back and blah, blah, blah. Somehow or another, later down the way in the movie, and most close to the end, Venom finds Sandman. Talks to Sandman. They hatch this plan of how to get Peter Parker. We know how to get him. We know how to get Spider-Man. Let's team up. Yeah, like all the other bad guys in the previous comic book movies. Okay, let's team up, bro. So they team up. Spider-Man, of course, I think it was 2, or maybe it was this one where he kind of like quits being Spider-Man. I think it was 2. But he comes back, of course. Starts to fight Sandman first. Now Sandman becomes this, and of course, if you're gonna fight Sandman, you got to be in a construction site. So let's fight where there's sand. I mean, let's fight on the beach. Motherfucker grows to be like 50 feet tall and starts fighting with each other. Excuse me. Figures out a way. Another one. Figures out a way how to defeat Sandman, and just before he starts to give his blows, here comes Venom. Now Venom's figured out who Mary Jane was, so he kidnapped her, put her in a car, all twined up so apparently Venom has a web memory, because if you all know, Spider-Man has made a contraption. Now, in the comics and in the cartoon, he has web shooters. In this universe, for some reason, Sam Raimi made it part of his anatomy. Just like a regular spider would make spider webs out of their body, why wouldn't a Spider-Man do that? He makes spider webs comes out of his wrist. Do that one more time. So, for whatever reason, the symbiote, I guess, remembers or takes a bit of his host's DNA or whatever, and of course, forms this venom for the new host. Now, like I said, it's basically the Black Spider-Man with a mouth and teeth, sharp teeth. Does that crap and makes his own black webs. Or I know in the comics and I think in the cartoon, he would shoot him. I remember he would shoot him through the top of his fist, and there was always like a little white square on his wrist. And it was pretty cool. But I think in the movie he does it through the wrist. I'm not sure. Of course, I'm coming from memory and Wikipedia. So, first of all, let's see where we're at, and have I been dropping any frames? We're at 30 minutes. Damn. So, back to, because we're almost done. This motherfucker again uses Mary Jane as bait. She, of course, is rescued. Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, beats off Venom.
Beats off.
Beats Venom up. saves her, and then when he finally remembers how he got rid of the symbiote from himself, he starts, making these noises with the pipes, and he puts him in like this pipe, this pipe jail, and starts ring ring like making all this ruckus, and finally it allows him to separate from Eddie Brock. At the same time, he has, because of course Harry is back being New Goblin and this and that, and for a brief second, he helps. I mean, I wouldn't say for a brief second. He actually does help Peter Parker. I forgot about that. He helps Peter Parker fight Sandman and these guys. While Peter Parker fights one, he fights the others. He teams up. He kind of redeems himself. But at the same time, this motherfucker dies. But not at his own hands. He does it to save Peter Parker. Venom tries to kill Spider-Man with the glider, because the glider has like these forks. Harry jumps in front of it, gets himself killed, and of course Peter Parker's just heartbroken. He's like, this is his best friend. He finally got him back. He lost him, and then now he's back again. Blah blah blah. Very heartbreaking. We find out that Sandman didn't shoot Uncle Ben on purpose. It was an accident. He did hold him up. He did rob him, or try to hold him up for his car because they were leaving. They robbed the wrestling promoter and this and that. And with all the ruckus going on, he gets distracted, accidentally pulls the trigger. Uncle Ben is shot. He feels bad. He's like, I fucked up. But what could he do? He's a bad guy. He just shot somebody. So he runs. While he does that, he sort of redeems himself in a way. Like Peter Parker forgives him, and then he just kind of like floats away in the wind. Now, when I initially saw this movie in theaters, of course, the fucking movie theater was going through like a, oh my God, what would you call it? A storm? I don't know. But y'all don't want to hear about that shit. This movie has been a thorn in my side for months. I should rewatch it. Yeah, I should have done that before I did this. Shoot from the hip, y'all. Shoot from the mental picture I have of that stupid dancing emo. I really have nothing else to say about that other than I really gotta go to the bathroom. So, with that being said, I want to thank you. Stay tuned for the outro. This live stream is done. Check out the episode. Check it out. Search for Shut Up and Refill My Popcorn. I really got to piss, guys. Peace.